Hey guys, this is Anthony from Atwo Studios bringing you another game update on our game Roy. So I guess what I talked about last time was a little bit on the tutorial, and so today we finally implemented that. It's not all the way completed, but the gist of the tutorial is there, and it's just a bunch of fine-tuning for that. A couple other things we did implement is we did fix the scaling for the most part. A couple tweaks here will fix the scaling for the game. And one thing you can notice, our logo kind of get blown up, so we'll do have to shrink that down a little bit. But for the most part, scaling did get finished, and you'll see that here when I test the game out. Another thing we did implement pathing into our game. So I'll kind of show off what I mean here in a second, but basically we needed something to basically like differentiate each level from one another, and we kind of had that with our goals to each level, but we felt like that wasn't enough in terms of how challenging it could be for the player. We did have power-ups and hazards too, but it's kind of a standard element or staple element to a game. So we did add pathing, and it's basically character movement in terms of how your character is going to move in the game, which I'll show off here in a second. What else? Yeah, I think that was it for this update. Was just scaling, tutorial, and pathing. So yeah, let's hop right in here. You can notice tutorials at the bottom. Quick disclaimer, everything we just kind of slapped on there for now, so if you see that this isn't centered correctly, or text isn't proper or anything like that, don't worry about that. We'll get to that later on, but basically everything's in the game. So that was our main goal for this week, was to have everything in there ready to play, and ready to show off. So let's hop right into the tutorial here. So you can see we have text on the screen. You saw that our guy was kind of halfway off the screen. Don't worry about that. It's going to get fixed. We do have text showing what to do here. So we drag our player in different directions. We got different buttons you hold. Pressing a color button will make Roy that color. Yep. If you've seen a couple of these videos, you already know. So we got our first shape on the screen. If I hold down red, it's going to turn red. You notice the goals, which are not very clear at the top. We'll edit that in a little bit, but they're at the top. They go down as I hit the shapes. You notice the dotted line, which is the paths I was talking about. So that's the tutorial so far. A couple things that we didn't add is it didn't discuss power-ups and hazards, which we'll add that here this following week, and it also didn't discuss the pathing. So you may be wondering, what's the deal with that? Power-ups and hazards. I'll kind of explain that as much as possible, but tutorial will basically give the gist for everything for that. Let's see. Oh, and for the tutorial, I did want to change it a little bit. So like you saw there, we did have text pop up on the screen. I want to have it where text is on the screen, but we have to complete that action first before we can move on to the next text dialogue and the next action. So it's basically, I'll tell you, you do it, and then repeat the process until the tutorial's done. Which the tutorial won't be that long anyways. It's pretty basic controls, so you don't have to worry about that in terms of being stuck on the tutorial forever or something. Like I mentioned earlier, that we're missing periods and stuff like that. Yeah, I know. We got to scale it down because it looks a little wonky having it go from side to side on the screen. Those are all minor things which we'll get to in the next week. Same with this level screen is kind of big. If you actually, I didn't show it off last time, but it was kind of distorted when we were in the process of fixing scaling, but it's all proportion out. We just got to adjust the size on it so it makes a little more sense. So that's the tutorial for now. Obviously we got to re-edit the main menu here to account for the tutorial button. Currently level select is disabled for testing purposes, so we could just put everything into one game mode and test it all real fast, an abundance at a time, so we could speed up the development for the game. So let's hop into the endless mode and kind of show off the new features here. So as you can see, we do have our shapes here. We do have our hazard, which is the big text on the screen. There's a bug with the freeze, which we did discuss that, and that did get fixed. It's just not in this game mode, or this build, I should say. Back to the pathing. So you notice our player dips down here. That's the whole point of the pathing. So we'll have different lines or designs basically across the screen, which the player will follow, and we can then move our player through that path. And we'll have more difficult and harder paths as we increase in levels here. So in turn, you'll have to account for how the player moves to make your decisions on how you're going to complete your goals for the levels. So that was just one extra thing we thought would be really cool to add, and would make the levels a little more difficult and enjoyable for the player. What else? So I guess I'll just play through a couple to show you off. So here's one that's a little more difficult for that. Notice we have 2 points where our player goes up at a certain point, thus making it a little more difficult to judge and acquire the shapes. I don't know if you watched my previous 2 videos ago. I did show off the game, and that game did have shapes that were really big in proportion to the screen, which we did shrink. I guess the biggest shape down, took it down a couple notches, so there is still some really big shapes on the screen, but they aren't as nearly as big as they were, allowing the player to be able to move more with ease, I should say, throughout the level, and be able to dodge things. I don't want to, if I had trouble to get a shape, maybe I want to dodge it instead of trying to hurry up and press the button real fast. What else? What else do we do? The shapes, I mentioned scaling. So far as scaling works, it looks good so far. Another bug we had was that when we'd double in size or get smaller with our power-ups and hazards, that our guy would he wouldn't go back to normal size, or his original size, I should say, which that could get fixed for them. Another bug, you notice here that our player goes underneath the buttons. That had to do with the scaling a little bit, which we'll fix, and we'll just move basically the padding up a tad bit and kind of adjust it so it does not go underneath the buttons itself. So those are all minor tweaks for the game, but the majority of the the game features are in there, and they're working properly like they should be, which is the most important part. We don't want to show off broken code, broken gameplay, that stuff. That'd be all bad. So I guess finishing this up. So for the next week, we'll be working on the level screen here. As you can see, it's still the original level screen. We do plan on changing it so it would be worlds, essentially. So let's say we have a planet, and I go and click on the planet. I kind of discussed this in my previous video, but I'll recap it again. We click on the planet, we go in there, and then we'll have a set of I don't know, maybe 50 levels or something like that, and then you beat those 50 levels, you go on to the next planet, and then we'll introduce something new, and you'll have to use that new component to complete those levels, as well as the older components. So that'll be moving, color swapping, the power-ups and hazards, the different kinds of pathing, this and that. So we'll figure out a good way to break those things up so they'll be introduced over time, but then eventually you'll be accustomed to using that in every single level after that. So that's what we'll plan on doing here in the next couple weeks. and then along with small, minor scaling issues with that. Those are all relatively easy. Just need to take time to do that, basically. So yeah, we're still shooting for mid-November, or around Thanksgiving. I previously mentioned it would be at the earliest date this game would be released on Google Play Store, and then by the latest would be Christmas. That would be if for some reason we just tanked in the developing process towards the end, which I don't foresee that. So you can expect, around Thanksgiving or a couple weeks following that. I'll keep you updated on that, on how the development's going. Along with that, let's see. Yeah, if you guys have any comments or suggestions on the game, feel free to leave a comment below on the various places I post this, whether it be in the indie forums I've posted in there. I've talked to a few people in there, on the YouTube channel, on the Twitter page, on the Facebook page, or on the website. Feel free to drop a comment there. Let's see, anything else to add? You guys know the website is atwostudios.com, along with our Twitter, A2 Studios, Facebook, A2 Studios. We do have Twitch and YouTube, which is also A2 Studios, so everything's A2 Studios across the board. So, the only thing we don't have is like Instagram, which don't really need that right now. But yeah, if you want to follow us on those social media links, feel free to. Not pressuring you or anything. Yeah, I think that's it, honestly. Can't think of anything else. So yeah, I'll keep you updated. Like I mentioned before, I post a weekly video on our game updates. Oh, one more thing. If you guys do have Discord, I know I'm kind of all over the place, but it just popped in my head. Discord, we do have a Discord channel where you can go and join us. The link is on our website at a2studios.com. You can go there, join our Discord channel, and there you can receive faster updates on the game, along with keep in contact with us throughout the development process, and kind of voice your opinions and suggestions for the game. So feel free to do that if you want to. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, backtracking to before, I mentioned I post a weekly blog update. You can find it on the website or the YouTube. I post it both things, along with the social medias. And then yeah, so just stay tuned for the next one. I'll see you guys next time, and thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it.